Hello dear tea friends from around the world, and welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com online tea boutique. I'm based in Taiwan. I've already added a new Bilochun this spring, and I start to receive some samples, and I'm getting ready to explore the different plantations in Taiwan for this spring's harvest. The weather is doing lots of twists and turns. So far we had lots of rain in the winter, rather cold beginning of spring, so the season is a bit later than usual, but we have also now very nice days. Today, for instance, is a bright sunny day, so there are good harvests that are happening right now in Taiwan, so I'm pretty confident and excited about this year's spring teas. But since we don't have so many spring teas, we already discussed Bilochun 2 weeks ago, one of the few green teas in Taiwan. While waiting for the Baozhong and for the new spring oolongs, I thought let's do another class that is more general and more theoretical, but instead of focusing on a particular aspect of tea, I want to do this class about the difference between making tea in a group. For me, a group is most of the time a tea class with a teacher and several students, and making tea at home on your own. What are a bit the things that I have experienced? What have I learned from these two different processes in the last 20 years of learning about tea? And so I would say that my first approach to tea was on my own. I tried to buy some teaware on my own, tried to do my own tea in Taiwan, and when I compared to the tea that I had received from friends or family, I found my tea a bit lacking. So I was a bit lost, not really knowing what I was doing wrong. So then I joined a tea class with tea master, Tea Parker already at that time as a teacher. And the very first thing that struck me when we were making tea in a group, so we were 2 or 3 people making tea at a time, so small groups, several small groups of students making tea, and then we would compare the tea between each small group and see already that there were lots of differences between our brews. Some had it too strong, some too light, some it would taste sweet, some other it would taste bitter, some it would taste watery, and so there were really a broad range of differences that really impressed me, because when you're on your own and you make your 1 cup of tea at a time, what you get is what you get. You don't have so many ways to compare it, and if you try to reproduce, usually you will do the same mistakes again and again, so the tea will always come out pretty much the same. But when you are with other people and you are able to compare very quickly, and again we were using the same tea, same water, same gaiwan, so everything was the same. The only difference was where we would pour, and you see there are such big differences between each brew that I really felt, wow, this is amazing. Here you have one product, tea, but the outcome, the teacup, can be so different. It can really go from total failure, something that that you would say, oh no, this is, I don't want to drink it, it makes my stomach bad, to something, wow, this is so sweet, so delicious, it makes my saliva come, it makes my mouth watery. So and at the end, when T. Parker would make his cup, again with the same water, same tea, same gawan, his cup would really be one or several steps above ours, and taste so much better than all the cups we had. And so this experience of having tea in a group, and also led by somebody who is more experienced and who can make really a very good cup of tea, really showed me in a very few moments the importance of brewing, and how the same leaves can produce such different outcomes. So this really showed me how tea can be special, how and that its value is not necessarily the price that you pay from the seller, but it's also in a great part the way that you brew it. If you brew it well, it will make its value higher, but if you don't brew it well, actually you can destroy its value. So for me, this was really the major thing that I learned from my first classes, is to really appreciate the importance of the brewing technique and how much it really can add to the quality of your tea. So for me, this was really a lesson of humility, because in order to learn and to get better, you have to make mistakes. It's sometimes it's your own mistakes, and having somebody to tell you what you did wrong, or yourself. Once you know how good a tea can be, then you are also you can be also more critical, because you know, oh, this cup did not achieve what it can achieve. It did not go to its potential. So humility, because you have to make mistakes to learn. You learn from them, and also responsibility, because you cannot say, the tea didn't come out well, it's the water. Water is not so good. Or why did I pick this teapot? Or it's the leaves that are bad. No. You have to take responsibility, and even with more average teas, even with a tea bag, actually there's a good way and a bad way of preparing the tea bag, so that you get to its full potential. So yeah, humility and responsibility. You don't blame the outcome on anybody else than you, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for everything that happens in this chashi, in this area that you have composed. This is all the items you have purchased, so you have selected them, and when you go online nowadays, the choice is infinite. So if you are the one who had lots of choice, you are the one who picked all these items, all these wares, and all these, and also the tea, even because they are also the same, an immense amount of sources for tea. For me, you can buy directly from Taiwan. You can buy. It's easy to buy directly from any country nowadays. But you can, or you can choose to buy from your local store. especially if they are, if you can feel that they are passionate about tea. Actually, they might have also very good sources. It's not because you buy directly from abroad that it will necessarily be better or fresher. There are so many ways that things can go wrong. So at the end, and also the tea, the water, did you go the extra mile of trying to find the best water in your neighborhood, or did you install a filter system in your house for your water? This is all actually on you. So for me, this is really one of the most essential first step of any learning, is that to realize how important the brewing is and all the little details that I just mentioned, and then to accept responsibility, and this will probably make you want to learn more. This actually it worked for me, because I'm still learning after 20 years, and there are so many details, there are so many different teas, there's such a broad history about tea, and there are many ramifications. You can go in history, in literature, you can pair tea with music, you can pair tea also with food. So there are so many ways of combining tea with your everyday life that it's really very interesting. So learning tea in a group, for me, this is one of the main benefits, is to have the opportunity to let many different people brew the same leaves, and then see by yourself how much of an impact it makes that a different person brews the same leaves in his own way, and how much his character, his personality, his skills will have an impact on the tea in the cup. Now, when you are alone, how should you brew your tea? Of course, when you are in a group, there is something group pressure. So you try to be on your best behavior. You try your best to be very focused, concentrated. Also realize that when I'm tasting tea in a group, my senses are more acute. I pay more attention to the tea I'm drinking, because this is serious. This is a class. So this setting of a class, and being there and if it's not a class, but you're in a group, but you are discussing about tea, so you are in the mindset of really paying attention to tea. So this helps to focus your mind on tea. So this is good. The bad part sometimes that can happen is the groupthink. Once three people have said something good about a cup, you are even if you think something critical about it, you sometimes you don't want to say something bad about it. So this is also something I've noticed with larger groups in like what I would do in Penn State. Sometimes students were a little bit too diplomatic, would not want to criticize their peers, and everybody's cup is good. Sometimes there can be a group pressure, peer pressure, not to voice a bad opinion that could hurt somebody's feelings. But in so the best way to do it is not to say, "Oh, you did this wrong," or it's simply to describe, "No, I feel some bitterness in this cup. That's it." Or this cup compared to the previous one has less fragrances. This is simply stating what you feel, but without saying, oh, it's because this guy did not pay attention. You don't have to say so much, and just simply try to express what you felt about the cup. Don't get too much peer pressured into not saying what you think because he's your friend, but actually you think that he did not brew it so well. Just say what you felt was lacking in his cup, or what was wrong, or maybe if you notice that his brewing maybe stopped in the middle and he started again, or that he was nervous and the flow of water was shaky, maybe this actually is something you can tell him, and actually it will help him to make his to improve his technique. And actually, being a friend is to tell him what was wrong in his brewing. If you really see that, there's a mistake, and if then you notice that it has an impact on the cup of tea that you're drinking. But there can be some settings sometimes where you have to be also aware of that peer pressure can happen, and so try to avoid this. Now, this is the advantage when you are at home. You don't have this peer pressure, but you also don't have this outside look. It's more difficult to be detached and be critical of your own cup. But this is something that the group experience can help you with, is to get in this habit of criticizing your cup and trying to see where it can be improved, especially if you have a certain standard. That's why I had this video I think a month ago about testing your tea like it's Bugatti on the Autobahn, on the highway, where I showed the different way of testing and pushing your tea to the limits. I think this is really a good standard to know what a tea can achieve. And the idea is that you probably won't get more out of the leaves, but what you want is to get more harmony out of the leaves, because these test methods that I explained are about pushing the tea to the limits to get almost all the flavors out of the leaves. But what you want then is to get them out of the leaves, but with harmony, without making them bitter or astringent, which are characteristics that happen when you are a little bit too rough in the way that you brew your tea. I think this makes sense. Of course, once you were critical about your tea, it's also a time to accept that tea is going to be like it is, and that even if you made a mistake, actually you can be happy about the mistake if you have spotted it, because then it's something that you are going to learn, and it's an opportunity to improve yourself for next time, not to make the same mistake again. And therefore, when I'm brewing alone, I'm still brewing with 3 cups, Gong Fu way, not with a larger bowl to drink a little by little. First, having several cups makes it easier for the tea to come to the right temperature for drinking. Whereas if you pour your cup in a very large bowl, you have to wait for a long time until it reaches the proper temperature, and then you are less able to drink it all at the same time. It really can work with green tea that can be drunk in larger quantity, but with the finer teas that we usually drink, or more concentrated teas, drinking from a smaller cup makes more sense. So even when you are alone, it's like a gentleman. A gentleman behaves on a desert island as if in the same way as he would in society. So when you are brewing at home and you want to make a brew that will help you make progress, you have to assume that there are many people around you and that there is this pressure around you, and that you try to go for perfection. You don't become sloppy because there is nobody around you. You still want to get the most out of the leaves. It's a challenge between you and the leaves, to make also the most, not only out of the leaves, but to make the most out of the time that you have for tea. So to make the most by having a beautiful plant, a beautiful arrangement, by maybe having some music. So and then paying attention to what you are doing, even though it's a little more difficult than in a group, because you don't have the feedback from people who are more neutral. But so you take this step back and you try also to analyze what went wrong, what went well, and try to learn from this. Okay, this was just some thoughts about brewing in a group, brewing alone, and taking responsibility for everything that happens on the charshi, so that you try to improve. And one thing that you can do when you are alone more easily than in a group is to make experiments. You can change the cups, you can change your teapot, you can put more or less leaves, you can more easily make mistakes when you are alone, because then you are the only one to suffer from these mistakes, but you are going to learn. So always be happy when you notice a mistake, because it means that you have learned something and you are going to improve. So I hope that these few thoughts will have given you also some food for thought, and I hope that I can soon discuss more about the coming teas from this spring. I'm going to brew some Baozhong now, the last year's Qingyu first harvest Baozhong. So please stick around on Facebook if you are with me live. You can start to ask me your questions, and for those who are on Facebook, on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up, and I see you next week for another tea class. Bye bye.